given by Martha Washington to her son, I believe, of George Washington's hair, and it's all braided.
There
it
it
is.
is.
Amazing and creepy.
There it is. There's one museum in the world that really pays homage to that. It's in Independence, Missouri, and the woman who runs it also runs a cosmetology school. She's obsessed with hair, but she's also obsessed with history, and she's just got to do it. She's got to run this little place. So I was on Facebook when I happened to be in Kansas City, and I said, anybody know anybody here I should meet? Somebody said, go see Leila. She's got a hair museum. 1,000 people liked the suggestion. I show up with the crew. We shoot the segment. Boom. TV show.
That's fantastic.
Thanks.
What does she have in the hair museum? I'm strangely fascinated now. Whose hair does she have?
She has hair from people who you've never heard of that are intricate, beautiful designs, but she also has Abraham Lincoln's hair. She has Michael Jackson's hair, a sentence you probably never would have heard juxtaposed like that, but she's got she has Elvis Presley's hair. She has JFK's hair and Marilyn Monroe's hair together, naturally. She has a lot of hair, but that's all on a separate wall. What she really has are stories, framed stories of 6, 7, 8 generations of people. Like the Becks decided many years ago that they were going to keep this odd DNA record of their lineage, and it's achieved through hair, and it was displayed and passed down religiously.
Can you imagine if we were still doing that? What we could have done with that hair now for our own health records. You know, when what was the guy who was the head of the airline?
I want to help you, Glenn.
Yeah, I know. The guy who was peeing in bottles, he went crazy.
Howard Hughes.
When Howard Hughes left his money, he wanted to do.
The guy who was peeing in bottles.
You just turned this into some jacked up game show.
I know.
Guy who's peeing in bottles. Howard Hughes. I'll play.
And how bad is it that for everything that guy accomplished?
Yeah.
That's the only thing that can come out, and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, Howard Hughes."
No, he didn't change aviation.
He was peeing in bottles.
And redirect the course of Western civilization. He peed in bottles and saved him. Chewed his nails, wore a bathrobe, and drank wine.
So when he was dying and he left his money, he believed in DNA research, and so he left just a huge chunk of money to, I think it was the University of Utah, and so all of that genealogy medical research is happening there. If we had saved the hair of all of these generations, we'd be able to even be better, because what they do with that genealogy is like, that person died. They died young, and they could track it, but they don't have any actual DNA samples to see.
Yeah, Crick Watson, CSI, all that stuff would have been so impacted so differently at the earliest stages. But, you know, it's technology, like collections. It doesn't always build on the last thing. You know, there's a recency bias that makes us assume that everything is an improvement on the last thing, but it's not. Technologies get lost, passions get redirected, collections vanish, and so we lose a lot of stuff, and we don't remember it. We're 2 generations away from forgetting Facebook if somebody were to pull the plug on it, right? It'd be a footnote somewhere.
I think we're 2 generations, maybe 3 generations away. If let's say an EMP went, you're 2 to 3 generations away from believing that man could never have flown.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean? Yeah. That all of this stuff was mythological. That there was no way any of that happened.
Right.
I mean, you lose that information. You lose it quickly.
Look, that's the Stonehenge thing that's so interesting. You know, even then we look back at that and we say, because we can't explain how an ancient people moved that kind of rock, well, our brains need to explain it somehow. So aliens must have done it.
Right.
Because I can't tell you how we did it. So you meet a guy who goes, you know what, actually, with 2x4s, marbles, and a shovel, I'll show you how to move a 20-ton slab. It'll take a couple days, but I'll show you how they did it. And that's a guy who does it, right? And so old technologies, old ideas don't necessarily lead to the next all of the time. Sometimes we forget them.
You talk to the families of these guys, because how the kids, I mean, they have to admire their parents, but they also have to say...
Never seen him before. Don't
Yeah,
know
I don't
him.
know him.
No.
I don't have any idea who
What's
he is.
Dad doing? He's building a thing in the back. How are you?
Back with Mike Rowe in just a second. Talking to Mike Rowe, I had to bring in you asked Jeremy to bring in the business magazine from 1929 that I had the other day. I have this magazine of American Industry, October 1929. You might want to turn your mic on. It's right over there.
I wasn't going to say anything interesting anyway.
All right. It's this amazing magazine, October 1929, and I'm looking at this, and first of all, nobody is saying, hey, there might be trouble on the horizon. It's all, things are great and strong. But there's ads in it for San Francisco, California. Come build your factories here because this is the future, and it's wide open spaces for us. And page after page after page after page of dirt, strong industry and vibrant. You look at anything today, nothing like that. It was really kind of a exciting and yet in some ways sad magazine because as I'm looking through it, I think all of this structure is gone.
Yeah, I have a completely unverifiable theory I call the dirt index. And, there's an index for everything. And if you look at the GDP historically and track the country's relationship with dirt, along the way, you see some really interesting things. In an agrarian society defined by agriculture, our relationship with dirt was excellent because we knew farmers were doing the heavy lifting. So we loved our dirty farmers.
Right.
And as we transitioned through the industrial age into the period you're describing, we loved dirt because our tradesmen woke up clean and came home dirty, and we associated that with
progress.
Correct. And then, as we got more into manufacturing, same type thing, but the element of commerce became a little bit more dominant.
Right.
And then we transitioned into technology and financial services. And essentially, we kind of arbitraged dirt out of the equation for success.
If I knew what arbitrage meant, it would have been
a good statement.
Listen, I'll be honest. I don't know what it means either.
Good.
But I hear people say things.
I know, and it's
and you repeat them.
It's
important to sound smart.
When you sound smartly like that,
I do.
It's really good.
Being goodly and smartish is imperative life.
All right. All right. Back in just a second. We'll continue this conversation and optimism. Being on the road, knowing what he knows, optimistic or more pessimistic since last we met?
Things look swell.
Someone's Got to Do It by Mike Rowe. It's starting October 8th on CNN. And quite honestly, I mean, Mike is a genius, and he's not gonna say this, but he changed television with Dirty Jobs, and just about everything that has come off in this unscripted television, so to speak, unscripted television really kind of started with Dirty Jobs.
I'm not going to argue with you, Glenn.
Yeah.
You make good points.
Yeah. And so now he's doing it again with Somebody's Got to Do It. And, we were just talking that everybody knows in our industry, the networks and everybody, they're just running scared.
No one knows. No one knows anything.
They don't.
Look, and neither do I, really. But in a world where everything, or where nothing means what I thought it meant, it's actually, it's confusing, but then it becomes weirdly freeing. Like nonfiction doesn't mean nonfiction anymore. It used to mean the absence of fiction. And as it pertains to a genre of programming, that's what you could be assured of seeing. Likewise, unscripted, the conspicuous absence of a script. But programs today that are described as both nonfiction and unscripted are neither.
And reality television is, it's just
far from it.
It's far from it.
It's the polar opposite.
Yeah.
So,
but that's the way our whole world is.
So
our whole world is upside down.
All the non-scripted TV shows really have scripts.
Well,
right?
I'm
most of them.
Yeah, I'm suspicious of all in almost any sentence, but yeah, the Ducks have a dynasty.
But you know what? You're the only one that I know, and because I'm this way, we just did something for a segment for somebody, and the producers went out in advance and they were like, okay, we got to find all these people to talk to, and my producers knew, and they're like, no, just find this group of people. Well, we'll just come in and sit down with these people. We don't need anything.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But most television people don't even understand that.
It's very frightening for an executive today to make a bad decision because the industry punishes bad calls in a way that is not equal or opposite to the way they reward good calls. So you're not really encouraging the kind of behavior that you want to see. What you're doing is punishing the mistakes. So it arbitrages the risk.
There's that word again.
I'll look that up.
You know what I mean?
Good. We should write that down.
So look, as a result, you've got, I couldn't sell Somebody's Got to Do It to the nonfiction networks that I'm most familiar with. I couldn't do it.
Including Discovery?
I couldn't sell it to anybody, Pat. They didn't.
Well, no, he could to me, but I didn't have any money.
He didn't have any money.
I was like,
Glenn
I'll take it for free.
There have been some cutbacks here at the Blaze. Mike, would you work for a magazine? We have National Business Magazine. It's from 1929. We'll give it to you.
It's just one.
I'll let you look through it. I'll let you look through it.
And you said no.
Yeah, no, he turned me down flat.
People want to know how it ends. And if I can't tell you how it ends, then it's scary. And if it's scary, then no.
You mean how the series ends or how every episode ends?
Everything.
Everything. How it ends in the commercial.
Right.
How does it end?
Right.
Where we
We were talking about the hair museum lady.
Yeah.
The questions would be, well, tell us about her. Well, her name's Leila. She's a sweet little old lady. She collects hair from past generations. Well, what will she be wearing, do you think?
What will she be wearing?
Yeah, we want to see her in our mind's eye. And how long will you be there? And what specifically will you talk about? Well, she's got a lot of stuff on the wall. I don't know. Well, can you tell us exactly what
it just happens.
Right. No,
but you know what? But can I tell you something? They're not used to people like you, and not to put myself in your category, but like you and me. We're intellectually curious. And they're not used to people being intellectually curious. They're not. They come in and everything from the news media to the personalities on television, you have to tell them what to do. Where you would walk on a set the same way I would. Okay, whatever you guys are doing over there, we're not going to do that. Here's where I am at today.
Right.
This is what I'm thinking today.
Well, if we're going to compliment each other, let me say this. I don't disagree with any of that, but my guess is at some point for you, you figured out that you weren't really working for CNN. You weren't really working for Fox. You weren't really working for the radio syndicator. You were working for the people who listened to you.
Yep.
And as soon as you know that, then again, it's kind of scary because they're not really paying you directly, but nevertheless, you work for them. And
most people in all business, I don't care if you're in a restaurant business, they don't really understand that. They think they're working for themselves. Mm-hmm. No, you're not. The minute you lose sight of the end user, the person that is coming through the door or whatever it is, that's what people like the New York Times, they did a story on me and they were like, and strangely, he goes out in public and people hug him because we're friends. We just know each other. Even though we've never met, we feel like we know each other because that's what's on the front of my mind. I'm on the front of their mind. You know what I mean?
Sure. True story.
We're friends.
So last time I saw you was in New York. I stuck my foot in it with this whole Walmart thing. Remember?
Yep.
And,
although all you did was narrate their commercial.
All I did was read an ad. I don't work for them. I don't have a relationship with them. I just read an ad about the reinvigorating of manufacturing through a big investment, whatever.
So it wasn't arbitrage.
No, not exactly, Clint. Nice try. You and I are going to have a chat later. We're going to talk about word of the day. And but you had me on the radio show to talk about it. Uh-huh. And we talked about Facebook a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I described what was going on, and I went over to Facebook, and I kind of wrote about that. And, I had never paid a lot of attention to Facebook before, but after this, I had a few 100,000 people. Now I got a couple million. And it wouldn't happen without you because, honestly, what I did was I went back and I thought, something? Facebook, it's not just it's a place where you can be utterly transparent with the people you truly work for. Mm-hmm. And that's not to say that I'm not as honest as I can be in a newspaper article or on a television show or with a network or any other thing. But, people, I think, understand that advertising is powerful and executives are powerful and everybody has their own brand and you got to be a good sport if you want to get along. But in the end, it's really great to have a place where you can talk as candidly as you want.